Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Evolutionary Church. It's so delightful to be with you here this morning in Evolutionary Church, this 57th week of Evolutionary Church. Oh my God, it's November 11th. Someone was putting in the chat there, 11/11. Yes, 11/11. And happy Veterans Day to those who are in the U.S. and happy Veterans Day to those who are our veterans. We're deeply appreciative and humbled by your service to this beautiful nation. So again, welcome everybody to Evolutionary Church, where our mission is a planetary awakening in love through a unique self-symphony. And together, we declare that the last day of the old face of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. I'm Lisa Ingalls. I am the executive producer of this amazing gathering that we do every single Saturday morning called Evolutionary Church. And in Evolutionary Church, we are connected, we are whole, we are expressions of the entire process of creation, and we are activating a new humanity. Oh my God, we really are. We are a church, we're a synagogue, we are a mosque, a temple, we're a zendo, we are all of it. No one is excluded, everyone is included, and we come together to attune to the evolutionary impulse that's awakening in us, as us, and through us. Welcome home, everyone. We're so delighted to be with you here on this gorgeous, gorgeous fall day. So again, if you haven't already, please go ahead and click on the chat function, which is somewhere on your screen, the top of your screen, I believe. And when you chat, so that opens up the chat panel for you. When you chat, make sure that you are chatting to all panelists and attendees so that we can all see each other's chats and engage. That way we use the chat function quite a bit here in Evolutionary Church. If you haven't already liked our Facebook page, if you're new to Evolutionary Church, that's one of the places where we connect, where we join in between our weekly broadcasts, our weekly gatherings here with Barbara and Mark. Go ahead, hop on over there. I put the link in our chat a little bit ago. I'll put it back in. It's just facebook.com/Evolutionary Church. A quick little announcement for our Evolutionary Church Collective members. You got an email from me yesterday about a little glitch that was happening in PayPal, a little issue that they were having there, and I want you to let you know that that issue has been resolved and there's nothing that you need to do as a collective member. So I just wanted to announce that here so that you were updated on what was happening there. And if you aren't...
Thank you for holding us. You are awesome.
You're welcome. And if you are not a member already, we do encourage you to learn a little bit more about the Evolutionary Church Collective. I'll be putting a link into the chat for you there as well. All right, so again, it is week number 57 of Evolutionary Church. Oh my God, it's so amazing. And even though we've rounded that first year together, we are still just beginning, my friends. And I will move now into our Dharma recap. After the Dharma recap, of course, Barbara comes in with a resonance. We go into our prayers and then into our messages for the day. And our entire time together will last somewhere around 60 minutes or so. All right, my dear friends, here we go into Dharma recap. So we have made love small. We've taken love away from being the very fabric of the cosmos, and we've exiled it. Right? This is something that Mark has talked about extensively in his book, Your Unique Self. We've exiled love to an emotion, and then we've exiled it again to being a human emotion, and then we've exiled it yet one more time to being a very specific quality of human emotion, right? Infatuation. We fall in love, we fall out of love. But we've become disconnected with the truth, which is that love is not an emotion. Love is a perception, and even more than that, love is a unique self-perception. So to be an evolutionary lover means that we are able to see the true nature of things, to see with God's eyes. That's what it means to be an evolutionary lover. To be an evolutionary lover means that when we love another person, we perceive their true nature. We perceive their unique self, right? And when we perceive the true nature of another, that creates an emotion in us. That creates a feeling of joy and of pleasure. And that is, my friends, what love is. Love is the realization of the infinite goodness and beauty of the other, which is their true nature. And if that's true, then self-love is the perception and realization of our own unique self. And in evolutionary church, we understand that reality becomes conscious when we awaken as evolutions, as God's eyes, right? As our eyes. We awaken then as the evolutionary lover. And in evolutionary church, we recognize that we are gods. We are goddesses seeing each other. Oh my God, that's amazing. What a realization to have. What an awakening to have. And in evolutionary church, we imagine a world in which love is no longer exiled to a mere hallmark emotion reserved for these special occasions, but rather love is reclaimed as the very fabric of the cosmos. And when this happens, we open to the possibility of a new narrative, a new story, a new narrative of power in our world, which Barbara and Mark are going to be unfolding for us today in code number 11. So I invite us all now to enter into the sacred, the holy space of evolutionary church as Barbara begins by setting a resonant field for us. Barbara, I hand it over to you. Barbara, I'm going to unmute your audio, and then I just need you to unmute your video, or unvideo yourself. There you go. And I think I need you. There you go.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. That was very beautiful. We have a new story to tell. It's the story of creation. And the story of creation is unfolding as you and me. Right now, let's place our attention on the billions of years of that process of creation, conceived of as a process of greater love, of greater consciousness, of greater freedom, now encoded in you and me as our impulse to love. The power of this is awesome. If ever we feel powerless, we just need to shift our attention to the power within and allow ourselves to feel the entire process of creation. And the way that creation creates is by attracting particle with particle, cell with cell, multi-cell with multi-cell, animal with animal, human with human. And now the evolutionary church is coming into form at the moment of the evolutionary birth of humanity experiencing itself as a whole body. We have seen ourselves from space. We are one planet. Now we are feeling ourselves from within as the impulse of creation attracted to each other in the evolutionary church of creation, expressing directly to each other the joy we feel when we are in resonance together. awakening the story as it unfolds today with us right now. And I turn my word to Mark as he unfolds the story within us right now.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, beloved B. Homemade. Thank you, beloved Lisa. We are resonating inside. We are, my friends, a memory of the future. And your beautiful resonance, Barbara, opens us up to be able to find that memory, and the recapitulation of the Dharma of Evolutionary Church with which Lisa began grounds us, right, in that memory. And today, beloveds, we are here to talk about power, because today is about power. And as we move into prayer, I want to just put in, Barbara will put it a second time, and in her sermon we'll unpack it, and I'll unpack it in my conversation. But the whole conversation today is about the evolution of power. We need a new narrative of power. We need a new story of power. I mean, what's the entire conversation going on between North Korea and America? It's this kind of power posturing. What's the entire tragedy of the Weinstein story? The abuse of power, right? Who has power? Who doesn't have power? How do we claim our power? And we've actually interrogated power as a negative. We've made power a bad thing. If you have power, somehow that power must be in some sense abusive, because we don't have a story of power. We don't have a narrative of power. And so what we're here to do today is to articulate a narrative of power in which we begin to understand that power is not abuse. Misused power is abuse. But power is holy. Power is sacred. There's a reason why the great traditions talked about God as the infinity of power. But in those traditions, God was outside. And God remains the power that holds us. God remains the power in whose arms we can rest. And yet, we now realize that that power lives authentically in us as it pulses through us. And that's what Barbara and I want to talk with you about today together, right? This story of power. Because here, and I'm going to tell you something wild and beautiful and gorgeous. If we don't have a narrative of power, which is an evolutionary narrative, an authentic narrative, in which we get to actually claim the dignity and the delight and the devotion that emerges from the power flowing through us, then the only thing that remains is a narrative which is about the pathology of power. If we don't claim the delight of power, the holiness of power, then power pathologizes itself, because power will not be denied. Every human being has a right to the dignity of their power. And my good friend, Jimi Hendrix, he got a lot of things right, but he got one thing wrong. He said he made an opposition between the love of power and the power of love. No opposition, right? The love of power is beautiful when I actually realize that love is a form of power. No opposition between love and power, right? There's pathological power and there's holy power. And one of the ways we know, my friends, that our power is holy is because we know that our lives matter, that our lives are dignified, right? That all the time, right, we're in a place where what we do in our stories matter to God, matter to the infinity of intimacy, which is the name for the divine that we've coined together in Evolutionary Church. Because the inside of power is intimacy. And God's not merely the infinity of power. God's the infinity of intimacy, right? And our lives are dignified, and prayer that we're about to enter affirms the dignity of personal need. Because we matter. And so our prayers matter, and God, divinity, reality, the universe is moved by our claiming the dignity of our personal need, which is the dignity of our power, right? Not to be dignified in our power is to be a victim, to be powerless. Why is victimhood problematic? Because we felt powerless. But that's the exact conversation today. What we're saying is someone made me powerless. But the idea is not to remove all power, it's to become empowered. I become empowered because I claim the dignity of my story. I claim the dignity of the power of the evolutionary impulse moving in me. And I realize that my life matters to infinity. And infinity is looking at me and saying, come closer, like this, like this. You matter. Your story matters. Every detail of your story matters. Pray to me. Pray as me. Be prayer. Say, I am prayer. And bring to me the infinity of intimacy in which you participate. Bring to me every detail of your life. Bring to me your holy and your broken hallelujah. Bring to me your crushed heart. Bring to me the injustice. Bring to me the lack of fairness, but not as a victim. Bring to me your holy and broken hallelujah with full power. See, one of the reasons we love Leonard Cohen, and Leonard Cohen in his song, The Holy and the Broken Hallelujah, is our hymn for Evolutionary Church, is because Leonard Cohen owns the holy and the broken hallelujah without being a victim. Right? Yes, of course we stand for victims in the world. And of course, all of us may have been victimized. But my identity is, oh my God, I have power. I have the power of the evolutionary impulse rising in me. I have outrageous acts of love to commit. So after I say me too, and I affirm the parameters and boundaries of not violating my personal space, which is sacred, and we all stand for that here. Me too. I also say, oh my God, me yes, right? Me yes. And me yes is the affirmation of the dignity of my story. And that begins with prayer. And that's what we're about today. The dignity of my power, the gorgeousness of my power, not power over, but power for. Not power over, but power for. And so today's about empowering. Today's about the dignity of power. And the dignity of power begins with prayer, where we embrace the holy and the broken hallelujah. And we know that every detail of our story matters. Our power matters. And away we go. And let's evolve the source code. And let's participate together in the very evolution of love, the holy and the broken hallelujah. We take it to the chat box and we bring our intimacy. And prayer is intimacy. And what David Brooks Alex was talking last night, right? We're looking for intimacy. But the way we find our intimacy is to know, as Priscilla just wrote, every detail of our story matters, right? Feel in my prayer, my power, my dignity. I am king, I am queen, and I come before you, divine, and I ask for everything. So I invite everyone to the chat box, and let's ask for everything, right? Ask for everything that I need, right? Everything that my neighbor needs, everything that my uncle needs, everything that my daughter needs. I say, God, please, right? So let's ask for everything, right? I pray for right companionship, says Priscilla, to lead us out, right? I pray for, right? Because I'm in my power. Prayer's not, right, an emasculation of power. Prayer is power. I pray that my son Topher is 20, going on 15, comes to recognize that his power is his love. Right? And let the prayers, let the God times roll. I pray to find my power and use it for holy goodness. Right? Sally, may I empower myself in order to empower others fully. I pray for aching hearts, Priscilla, right? For those who are on the path this day. Donna, I pray for the strength to start over. Janet Grace, I pray for peace for my dear friend Brian, celebration of his life today. And I invite everyone to move from being what the Greeks called a spectator to being a prayer. I am prayer and I am power. And prayer and power are not separate. So Oriana, I pray to join Genius to accelerate One Heart Awakening. Mitten, I pray for inner peace for my brother Robert. Simona, I pray for my friend Marco to succeed in his efforts in his job because I am prayer and I am power. right? I pray for Lainey as she finds her way in life. Most, I pray for the moments of love's re-evolution to manifest more and more. Bobby, I pray that I claim my power. Philippe, I pray for Angela to find her own unique power. Big kiss, Philippe. Marilyn, right? I pray for the strength to trust myself, right, in the world, to move open-hearted. Medea, I pray that my vocational higher purpose, right, finds its way, unfolds. Janet, I pray, I am prayer, I am power, right? Francis, I pray for Jamie's awakening awareness of his wholeness into love. Alex, I pray for forgiveness for my past selfishness. Lan Gray, may I bring prayer from the spiritual into the physical to be the embodiment of my God self, right? Lynn Mystic, I pray for New Age legislation for heart and soul community. Inika, I pray for my power to build a better circle around me. Colleen, I pray for the passion, potency, purpose, and yearnings, right, that should be awakened, alive, and embodied in me to be lived as love. Gabi, there's no deep contact between my son's family and me. I'm so sad. I pray that I claim my power of love. Christina, I pray for my sister Carla, that she finds home inside and outside, right? I am prayer. I pray for courage and power to live my unique purpose fully. And I want to just ask everyone, but as we move into Barbara's sermon, let's just write, I am prayer, I am power. So we can see that those two are together. They're not separate. Let's bring them together in the source code right now, and let's write it into the source code. We're literally going to write the new source code right now. We're literally writing. We are in the source code, and we're writing it together. I am prayer, I am power. There's no split between them. Prayer affirms the dignity of my need, and my need matters because I am power. I am prayer, I am power. Let's just write it in. We're literally rewriting the source code of Cosmos right now in this very second. There is no ego. There's no me, right? There's I am prayer, I am power. We are the collective of evolution. We are in Florence, right, bringing in modernity. We are the new church. We are in Bethlehem, right? Every person that writes it changes something in the source code. If you're willing to step in, right, and respond to the divine voice that says, come closer, like this. I need you to write this in my heart so we can evolve the source to get together. I am prayer, I am power. And can you hear her saying, could a few more people write this in my heart? Can I feel all of you? Because you are me and I am you. And when you write this in my heart, the source code actually evolves. And so can you actually come to the chat box? Can you hear her saying that? Come closer, like this. Come closer, like this. Oh my God, I am prayer, like this. Come closer. And Barbara, I hand the word to you as we evolve homemade the source code together. Come closer.
Yes, I come closer, Mark. I do. I am the power.
Amen.
I am the story of creation. The impulse within me to be more, love more, create more, join more is the power of evolution, and it and I am the power. I'm including I am the universe expressing itself as me, through me, for me, and for everything and everyone as universal evolution. That power is truly awesome. It's truly God. And so what I'm doing is taking one of your sentences and then playing with it a little bit. So I'm going to start out.
Oh my God, here we go.
Say something if you want to, but the first part of your code 11 is, we need a new story that is equal to our power. Response, we have a new story equal to our power, Mark. It is the universe, a love story. It is evolution by attraction, all the way up and all the way down. So let's affirm that we all have this story, and Mark has called it the universe, a love story. Mark says, most specifically, we need a new story of power itself. So here is really what we've just been saying. The new story is a narrative. It is a trajectory of power. And I've been working with the word trajectory about the new story, because if you have a trajectory that is imbued with the power of evolution, that means your narrative is empowered. And I have been consciously identifying my trajectory as starting with the origin of creation. I couldn't have made any of this up. But now, in the actual present moment, that trajectory has got the power of the whole story going somewhere. And it's going, where does the trajectory, or where does the narrative of evolution go? It goes to help us be more loving, more creative. It's what Teilhard de Chardin said. It brings us greater consciousness. It brings us greater freedom to say yes or no. And it brings us greater synergistic love or joining to create. So this is another tremendous revelation that my deepest desire happens to be the universe and me desiring it. Now, if you want to talk about feeling empowered, that really does it for you, but you've got to get hold of your trajectory. You know, it has, as you say, Mark, it has to personalize. It's not that I have the trajectory of billions of years of evolution. I have Barbara's trajectory. I have my love of the particular impulse. I have the trajectory of this church inside me. I have the trajectory of Lisa, of Mark, of each person, of Oriana, of Christina, of all of us. Okay, how does this show up? It shows up as the evolutionary unique self. See, this is a great plan God had. That my yearning is showing up as my evolutionary unique self, which is empowered by the entire process of creation. Do you realize how awesome that is? To be that fully empowered? So here's Mark again. Part of the evolution of consciousness is the evolution of our experiences and narrative of power. So I'm saying, and he says, as evolutionary unique self, we feel both powerful and humble beyond measure. We are powerful because the impulse of evolution itself pulses as us. So in other words, we are accepting the power of evolution personally. That's awesome. We are humbled because we realize that our power is sourced, I like this phrase, in the grace of infinite source that lives us in every moment and without which we would cease to exist. Sometimes I thought of, what if the whole thing turned off? What? I mean, this is not just in you personally, but in the universe. Because whatever is going on in you personally is going on this planet, going on in this cosmos, is going on in this universe. So we have to take the personal universally. It's a very, very great expansion of what's personal. So then we're humbled, and here I write, what does this infinite source in me yearn for? Since I'm really taking it as a universal impulse. It's a passionate desire. It's a longing for greater intimacy, union and co-creation with it and with each other. And this is a thing about love. This inner impulse for intimacy, which is the nature of the universe, to seek greater intimacy. What does that mean? Well, it's more than ordinary love, obviously. It's the love that creates through joining. It's God love joining Godhood through us. I mean, it's awesomely great. So the infinite source lives in us, this is my writing, as passionate desire, as longing for greater intimacy, union, and co-creation with it and each other. Mark says, without a cogent narrative power, all that is sacred, from relationships to purpose to sex, lose their core ethos and eros. In other words, if you don't have this story, it pulls out from everything else in you, your relationships, your love, your sexuality, your ethos, your love. It's all gone. So when we are actually impelled and realize where the source of this passion comes from, it's inevitably truthful. It's not that we can't make mistakes with it, we can, but its intimacy and its power are so empowering that you cannot fail. You cannot fail with this inside you. So the core ethics is a trajectory towards your and my heart's desire. This means you really have to take your heart's desire seriously. It's not enough to say, oh, well, this is my personal heart's desire. One thing I think that conscious evolution has done for me is to make me realize that my heart's desire is the universal process within me desiring. And when it hits a crisis or something that it doesn't know how to resolve or feels at a loss, I've learned to say, thank you. What are you pointing me towards? So that evolutionary impulse within us, and this is true personally, it's true socially, and it's true on a planetary scale. We now have problems that look like we can't quite solve them. This is absolutely true. We can't solve them unless we evolve in consciousness, freedom, and order. The universe is pressing us through these crises, every single one of them, starting personally all the way on up to climate change and nuclear holocaust. We've been given exactly the degree of struggle that we need to be as exactly great as we can be when we incarnate this power. And so I was seeing, in this core intimacy, greater expression of genius, longing for sexual union, longing for suprasexual union, whole mating, longing for whole mating. Mark sometimes calls me his whole mate. And I believe in this church, we're whole mating wherever we can find joining genius for shared purpose. There is no more wonderful love than whole mating, joining genius for shared purpose toward the purpose of evolution itself, which is greater consciousness, freedom, and loving order. Do you see how the divine has come into the personal? And what happens if you're celibate? I just wanted to mention Teilhard de Chardin here as a Catholic. Obviously, he was celibate, and he really loved a woman, and she really loved him. And I have wondered how that worked. And here's what I did learn about it, because I worked closely with the Sisters of St. Joseph, a Catholic order. And one of them, Judy Cawley, Sister Judy Cawley, was an evolutionary. And she absolutely loved this whole story. And she lived with me for 2 years when I was in Santa Barbara. And she told me what those sisters did. And I think it's something that we could all use. Those sisters, when they were over in Europe, decided to come to this new country by themselves. They had no bishop. They came in threes. And little threesomes of these Catholic sisters in the new country. What they did every morning, they had a meeting. And here's what the 2 questions were. What is the state of your heart? They all responded. And the other question, what is the order of the house? And those little threesomes of Catholic nuns came and populated the planet. I was one of their sisters. They asked me when I had become Catholic. And since I wasn't Catholic, I thought, anyway, I said, I am not Catholic, but why do you think I'm Catholic? And they said, because you have such a great sense of expectation. Now, a lot of the other religions do not. The second coming of Christ. We're talking about the planetary awakening in love through a unique self symphony. That's pretty close. That's pretty close right there. So that was their form of intimacy. And so I want to, let's see, I'll just take a few more minutes here. The sexual energy, as they realized it, can be carried into the evolutionary trajectory, becoming one with the narrative of evolution itself. Wow. Tell that to all these poor men and women struggling. You know, I kept thinking of the pathetic stories of these powerful men feeling so weak that they weren't able to have a normal, loving expression of themselves. And these poor women who were so after power would be, I mean, once they found out, they always left it, but attracted to the powerful men who were yearning for these sexual encounters that were so meaninglessly superficial. We have a lot to help there. I think what the evolutionary story of creation really needs to be brought out into the general public, and we have to deal with these issues from this perspective. And I want you to know, I'm ready to stand up anywhere on any program. And I said to myself the other day, I'm going on CNN. And I had this vision of having, I'm going to do a short video for Anderson Cooper to declare to him the new story of evolution and the story of love. And tell him if ever he should want some voices on this, we could offer him the new news. And I'm actually going to do that because it's ridiculous that we have to hear nothing but that when this is happening. So I invite anybody who feels like stepping forward with me, step right out, folks. And I'd like to say now that your desire, your longing is evolution longing inside of you. I think we have such an opportunity to talk about evolutionary love in the public arena. Mark will probably tell me, be careful, watch out, they'll try to annihilate you. Maybe. But how many of us are there? How important is our voice now to be heard through this church and through all the ways in which we can communicate? So I would like to say we're at a whole new phase of the narrative of power now. And as we move into our giving, the phrase that Mark said to me just before this, you are empowered in giving. And through this evolutionary church, each of us is empowered in giving. So Lisa, I'm going to pause here a few minutes before Mark's message to give people an opportunity to click right there. Tell them what to do, Lisa, and give us a few moments to be fully empowered through giving our love into the church and the world. Go, Lisa.
Beautiful, Barbara. I have put the link into the chat box, and someone says the link isn't active, so let me check that, and I'll make sure I have the right link in there. But the link, again, is in the chat box, and I will double check on that.
So as we are double checking on that link, and Lisa, you'll let us know when that link is in and that it is active and that we are in, let us step into the news story. And Barb, we've actually received already, right, invitations to appear, you and I together in the national media, right, on these topics, and we'll have to kind of decide the right place and the right time, right? And there's always a right place and a right time, and speak always when words can be heard. And let's speak when words can be heard. And what are the words that we want to speak, right? What is this new narrative of power that Barbara and I are here together, right, to talk about and articulate with you, right, with all of us, the evolutionary church, right? And we're ready to respond to the invitation. Actually, this very week, right, we got actually 2 invitations, right, to be on CNN, which I turned down. And I turned down because it's not yet time, right? We've got to finish doing the right preparations. And when we're prepared, we've got to speak with full power. And what happens tragically is when people are yearning for power because there's no true narrative of power, they stop listening. Let's try and articulate here, what is the new narrative of power, right? That's the whole story. And that's what, Barbara, you talked about so beautifully. That's what this code is, right, that we wrote. So let's step right in. Here we go. Ready? Drum roll, I'm going to step right into your words, Barbara, and we're going to blow this out together. So number one, in pre-modernity, meaning until the Renaissance, where was the power? The power was outside, right? God had the power. Human beings had no power. The only job of a human being was to bow to God's power. If there was a king who had power, what did we call it? We call it the divine right of kings, meaning the king only had a power because God said you have power. And God was outside the world. So there were two circles, the world and God. God's outside the world. Human beings, by definition, are not God, so therefore they don't have power. That's the end of the story. Obedience was the core, tragically, of the Catholic message, right? And the sisters that Barbara spoke of were revolutionaries within the Catholic Church. But the core Catholic message was God has the power. Grace is with God, right? It's only by absolute faith that you have grace, and so therefore you're essentially emasculated. That was the story. Along came the Renaissance. And the Renaissance said, no, we got to take power back from God, right? Michelangelo's David, Da Vinci in Florence. It's the human creation, and it's human creativity, and it's human initiative, right? And the Renaissance was Prometheus unbound, right? Let's steal the fire from heaven, and let's tell the story of Prometheus. And so now, where does power rest? With the individual. That's what the Renaissance says. That's not pre-modernity, that's modernity. But all of a sudden, we had another version of the same tragedy, which was the human being was alienated from source, alienated from the divine. So all the power rested with the individual separate self, and even any power that the government had came from the social contract, which meant that individuals gave up power for the sake of the government having a little power, but there's no intrinsic power. Only intrinsic power lives in one place. Intrinsic power lives in only one place with the individual. But my friends, how much power can an individual have? A skin-encapsulated ego, as Gregory Bateson was going to call it a few hundred years later. Right? A skin-encapsulated one person doesn't have much power. And that means that I got to get my power, at your expense. So I got to steal power from you, which is why Hobbes, the beginning of modern political theory, said the world's always in a natural state of war because people are just stealing power from each other. Right? And my power is at your expense, and power is a zero-sum game. And therefore, right, power is pathological, but the nature of the human being, right, in life, which is nasty, brutish, and short. So modernity's vision of power was that it's limited to the separate self, right? There is no source power that lives in the human being, and human beings are in a natural state of war. And to the extent that we have government that has any power, it's because we gave up some of our personal power, and it's always about surrounding, right, my property with a moat and a wall, so I'll be defended in my boundaries. If anyone, right, violates my boundaries, well, that's the most dangerous thing in the world. So we get that, and that's the beauty, that's the dignity of modernity, and it's the disaster of modernity. Along comes postmodernity and says, oh my God, even the modern stories of individual rights are really hidden grabs for power, right? Postmodernity saw, wow, everyone's trying to grab power in different ways. There's all these disempowered people at the margins. Let's bring them in, right? Lesbians, right? Homosexuals, great. We call that the gay community. That's gorgeous. LGBT, fantastic, gorgeous. The earth has been ignored. We're raping the earth. Let's bring the earth in. Fantastic. The environment, gorgeous, right? So postmodernity says there's all these power grabs that are victimizing everyone. Right, let's expose the power grabs and bring in all the people victimized. That's gorgeous. That's a momentous leap, right, in history. But there's no narrative of power until we come, right, to this moment in time, in this evolutionary church, and we proclaim the new narrative of power. And the new narrative of power is, I am power. Because the source of power itself, the evolutionary impulse uniquely expressed as me, pulses and beats and throbs in me. I'm not merely, and oh my God, give me a drum roll, my friends, right? Oh my God, give us a drum roll. We're proclaiming now the new narrative of power, which is, I'm not a separate self. I'm not the Renaissance skin-encapsulated ego. The world is not Shakespeare, a told tale, right? Told by an idiot, full of sounds and furies signifying nothing. Rather, I am the power and we are the power. So let's get both of them. One, what's I am the power? I am an expression, a unique expression of the field. I am an irreducible, unique self. I am an evolutionary, unique self. I live in an evolutionary context, right? And the evolutionary impulse pulses uniquely in me. I'm not separate self. I don't just have power as separate self. I have power as a unique expression of the field, the one field of true self. And I'm an evolutionary, unique self, meaning evolution pulses uniquely in me, irreducibly in me. And what is evolution? Evolution is that force driven by what I like to call evolutionary love. Evolutionary love powers the whole story. So what does that mean? It means I'm a unique expression of evolutionary love. I'm a unique expression of the evolutionary love impulse of the cosmos. And the codes that we're unfolding here are the evolutionary love codes, right? I am the power. I am the evolutionary love power of reality, uniquely expressed as me. And once I get that, I get to claim my power. So when I feel power coursing through me and I feel my desire for power, I feel like I want to show up. I want to wake up. I want to grow up. I want to give my gift. I want to be Superman. I want to find and identify my superpowers. And I go to my therapist and my therapist says, that's grandiosity. That's grandiosity, right? Right. And I'm pathologized. Right, my desire for power is pathologized, but actually, I know. I just watched Superman. I just went to Wonder Woman. Right? How many women went to Wonder Woman and said, "Oh my God, hello, that's hello." Right? That's me. That's my incarnation. Right? And all women should claim Wonder Woman, and all men should claim Superman because that's the truth. We do have superpowers. We are superheroes with superpowers. And my unique self are the unique superpowers, right, that live in me. I am, and I want to invite every woman who's on this, right, conversation, this holy conversation, just to write, I am Wonder Woman. And every man to write, I am Superman. You up for it? I'm in. Okay? I am Wonder Woman. I am Superman. Right? Can we find that? I am Wonder Woman. Okay, just find it, right? Where's any Supermen here? And any Superman here? Hello, give me some Superman. We got a lot of I am Superman. Give me some more Superman. Thank you, Philippe. Any Superman here? I am Wonder Woman. I am Superman. Alex, Superman. I am Wonder Woman. I am Superman. Where's Terry? Terry, where's my friend? You are Superman, right? Yes, I am Superman. But it's actually true. Did you get it? I am Wonder Woman. I am Superman. I am the power. And then we come together as, right, a unique self, planetary awakening in love. A planetary awakening in love through evolutionary love comes together in a unique self-synergy, because there are unique self-synergies. Synergies means we come together to form a whole larger than the sum of its parts. And the greatest unique self-synergy is the unique self-jazz symphony. And why is it a jazz symphony? Because I never know what note Medea is going to play. And I never know what note Colleen's going to play. But Colleen, you got to be in the symphony, love, right? It's not just separate self. What's my book? I'm in the symphony. How do I come together and give up some of myself so I can listen to your music that's going to make my music better? Lynn Mystic Healer, I am what? I am power, right? I am Wonder Woman. I am Superman. And together, we are the League of Superheroes, right? We are the League of Superheroes. That is us, right? Evolutionary Church is the League of Superheroes, right? We are Unique Self Symphony. We are the power. So let's bring it all together. And if we can just kind of, in this chat box, write this on the lips of the God, right? We are the power. Can we find that? We are the power, right? We are the power. We've gone from I am the power to we are the power. That's when it happens. We are the power. We're actually impressing, we're actually involving the source code. We're actually writing source code text right now. We are the software engineers of reality, participating together in this moment, in the evolution of love, feeling the power. Can you feel the power coursing through this moment? That's power, right? That's not weak. That's not insipid, right? That is the power. The evangelist brings the good news, and the good news is we are the power. And if we're not the power, then Trump's the power. You get it? Right? The universe doesn't tolerate a vacuum of power. We are the power. And we got to own, right, our drive for power, because our drive for power is holy and it's beautiful. And when we don't own our drive for power, when we distance ourselves, when we split it off from ourselves, then our drive for power appears pathologically, right? It appears pathologically. right? And we're willing to compromise everything, right, for a moment of 15 minutes of fame, right? That's the pathology of power. We want the purity of power. We are the power, the purity of power, the potency of power, right? The poignant, right, beauty of power, right? Right, amen. So let's feel this together. Let's feel this together in our last couple of minutes, because we're now going to go into, right, and Lisa, do we have a way to kind of express this in donation at this moment? Or don't we? You tell me. Either way, either is good. It's all good.
Yes, I wrote in there, the donation link does work.
Flip it into us again. Flip it into us again. Just put it there again. Thank you. That is the power, right? That is the power. As I've said 1,000 times, and Barbara said 1,000 times, no salaries here. No one's making any money on this, right? Any donation is used simply to be the power, right, to spread the church. Right? That's kind of, so let's make that happen. Let's make that happen. And let's stay with me for a second and hold it gently. Hold it gently, right? And as I stay and I use my power to listen to Barbara's message, and I'm bursting with words, but I'm sitting there opening myself up, right? Let's feel this, right? Right? Grandiosity, right? Says Marianne, I'm accused of having grandiosity. No, be grand, right? Be grand. You are the power. We are the power. And let's feel that together. And Barbara, give us a word before we go to the next step. Take it away, love.
Just a word that's coming through.
Amen.
The power in each of us is also our calling, our creativity, our vocation, our life purpose. So when we say, I am the power, I'm also the creative impulse.
That is the power. Right?
And
that is the power.
I've done a lot of mentoring with people who are part of this, and everybody is looking for exactly how to best express the power. So I just want to add the enormity of that need to express it uniquely.
Amen.
As you.
Amen. Right. And amen. Right. And these words merge into each other in our unique self-symphony, beloved. Yes. When we say I am the power, we don't mean I'm pathological power. We mean I am called. It's my unique gift, which is my unique expression of the love intelligence and love beauty. That is the power. That is the power that seeks to live through me. And as long as that power doesn't live through me, I will be in pain. And I really want to get that. You know, all the Prozac in the world will not give you the power. The power will give you something that Prozac won't. I'm not saying not to use Prozac. If that's what works and helps you balance and stabilize, absolutely. Fabulous. Stabilize always. But my friends, Prozac will not give us the potency and the poignancy, right? And the power that creates the purity, right, of a life well lived. And a life well lived is I am living my power. And my power is not Terry Nelson's power. And my power is not Christina Amelon's power. And my power is not Barbara Marx Hubbard's power. And it's not Lisa Engel's power. And it's not Christina's and not Claire Molinaire's power. It's not Annie's power. My power is Mark's power, right? Reality's having a Mark experience, but reality's having an Annie experience at the same time. And reality is having an Oriana experience at the same time. And power is not, and I want to get this really clear, power is not about public. That's where Andy Warhol got it wrong. Power is not about 15 minutes of fame, right? Power is the greatest speeches, and some of them, beloved B, will give on CNN. And some of them are private speeches, and some of them when we show up on Amazon, right? And I want to invite everyone, by the way, to go to Amazon. We have a new book, Return to Eros, right? Leave a comment about the book, so we can kind of raise that book up. I want to invite everyone, right? Lisa, maybe you have a second to put in an Amazon link, right? Let's raise up that book, right? Let's rate, but power means, power is, and I want to get this, power is not public. Sometimes power is public, but power at its core is private, right? Private means, how do I show up when no one's watching? How do I show up in the integrity of my life? And my vocation is not simply public. My vocation is not simply my public gift. It's the gift of my integrity and I want everyone to get this, in the private moments where all of my family tells me not to do it, right? When I can get away with not doing it. When I'm living my evolutionary unique self, I can always get away with not doing it. There's always good reasons not to be it. To, right, the outrageous acts of love that are mine to commit, right? Don't translate power into public. Power sometimes needs to be public. The evolutionary church needs to be public. But my friends, right, power at its core is heroic. And heroism, Superman and Wonder Woman at their core are in the private moments of our lives when we decide to stand in integrity, even though we can totally get away with politically not doing it. That's where power lives. That's where integrity lives. That's where we become, right, so empowered in a way that no one can take it away from us. And I want to tell you something with enormous pathos. Do you think Jesus on the cross was powerful? I think he was. Now, crucified, let's go from crucifixion to resurrection. It is time for resurrection, right? It is not time for crucifixion. But I want to tell you something. Would Jesus have been more powerful if he didn't walk the way to the cross and went to Jerusalem and dined with the powerful people in Jerusalem and the establishment of that moment? He would have looked more powerful, but he wouldn't have been, right? Jesus's power and Isaiah's power, right, was to actually speak truth to pathological power. That's true power. And to take risks and to risk the whole mission for a moment of integrity, right? And not to be too strategic, but to actually have holy audacity. So I want to invite you, friends. I want to invite myself. I invite you, beloved homemade Barbara. I invite you, Lisa. I invite you, Oriana. I invite you, Gabi. I invite you, Enoch. I invite you, Priscilla. I invite you, Lirazi, Christina Amlon, Janet Grace, Francis, Terry, Mosa, Suzette, Aletta, Simona, right? Diana, right? We're invited, Philippe, right? I invite you to holy audacity. Holy audacity. And you know when God says, the infinity of intimacy says, come closer, like this? She's not looking for the public display of Wonder Woman kind of landing with that awesome outfit with the entire world watching. Those moments are almost always private. And you can always get away with not doing them. And no one's going to call you out on it. But watch, even in the spiritual world, we can commodify spirit. We can commodify public. It's got to live in private. When it lives in private, then it explodes in the public. And the power, my friends, of Evolutionary Church is that we love each other in private. Right? We talk to each other. We find each other in the chat box. We find each other, right, in outrageous love letters. We find each other and study together. Right? We actually stand in this private crucible of loving. And from there, we explode and we know we are the power. And from there, we look in each other's eyes and we say, come closer, like this. Beloved, I'm here. And then we're all resurrected. Oh my God. Oh my God. How could anyone ever tell you, Barbara, that besides the fact that you are the power, right, that you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you that you're less than whole? How could anyone ever tell us that our love is not a miracle? And how deeply we're connected in our souls? And Lisa, take us in. How could anyone ever tell you, Evolutionary Church, we are the power in private, in public, potent, pure, poignant. All the way, we're writing the new source code together. We are the power. Evolutionary love. Thanks to everyone. Have a gorgeous week. Libby Roderick, thank you. Thank you. The most gorgeous, beautiful week, everyone. Let's just see everyone for the last second. I know everyone's on their way out into the day and we're a couple of minutes over, but do we get to see everyone for a second, beloved Lisa? Oh my God, Hans Werner. Thank you, Hans Werner. Chris, thank you. Yeah, but waving. Oh my God. Oh my God. No camera today. Alex. Thank you, Alex, for the reference to David Brooks. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you. Carol, thank you so much. Oh my God. Right, Lirazi, we can't see you there. Right? Thank you so much. There she is. Oh my God. Yes, Bobby. Oh my God. Thank you. Anne.
Yeah, Priscilla.
Oh God, how awesome.
Claire. Hello, Claire. Hans from Germany?
Yeah.
Hans from Germany there?
No, I don't think so.
No, Hans J.
Welcome. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Francis. Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Thank you, Murray. Yeah, Mosa. Where's Mosa? There's Mosa. Where's Mosa? Where's Oriana? I don't feel all right. Ulrika, there you are. I'm working on the pronunciation. We got to get this down. Someone's Suzette, Nancy Ann, Simona, we talk tomorrow. Sally. Oh my God, William. Great to see you, William. Medea and Ivan, there they are. There's Terry. Terry's not showing his face here, but we see him there. Yeah, Christina. Yes.
Simona, I see you.
Oh, Simona's from Italy, Barbara. Simona's like awesome.
Yes, she is awesome.
She is. It's so delightful to be here. Anita. Wilson. Welcome.
Very-
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And welcome, Barbara. And everyone have the most gorgeous week ever. Right? What a delight and an honor to be here. And anyone who would like to get more